What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Horror. This is Ethan Horror, and today we are going to be going through the films of the King of Horror, Stephen King. I'm going to be giving you my top 10 horror movies based on books that he has written. And yes, we are only doing horror movies, so The Shawshank Redemption cannot make the list because it's not a horror movie. But films like It, Pet Cemetery, Carrie, those are all making the list. And I'm assuming you guys know what my number one's going to be before you even started the video, but in case you don't, let's get into it.
Here's Johnny.
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
With number 10, and for this one I honestly couldn't decide. I don't really love either of these films, but they both were good enough to make the list, so I'll do a tie with the Pet Cemetery Remake and It 1990. They both have positives and negatives. The Pet Cemetery, really, it's just because like nothing, it doesn't have anything that really makes me mad. There's nothing bad in it, there's just nothing good in it either. It's just a boring movie. But it did have some scary moments, so I felt like it was, it can make the list. And It 1990 also had some scary moments, but this one has some bad moments and some good moments, but I think the good mainly outweighs the bad, even though the second half of the story with the adults isn't very good. Coming in at number 9, I have It Chapter 2. As you guys know, I'm a huge It fan. I have a costume there, and I have a cardboard cutout over there. So I really love the franchise, and I do have all 3 of the movies on the list, so you'll see it 2017. But It Chapter 2, it just kind of, I like it enough that it made the list, obviously, but it didn't do as much as I would have hoped. I had always heard that it wasn't as good as It 2017, and I was going to watch it either way, because it was like a 2-part thing, and I ended up watching it on the same night, and it wasn't as good as the original It, but I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. The ending is kind of weak, where they just bully him, basically. But otherwise, Eddie's death, that's like a sad moment. And I don't like how they just kind of write off Stan right away, even though that is what happens in the book. I don't like that. I would have liked to see him more. Because in the original movie, Stan wasn't a huge character. He didn't have a lot of backstory, so I would have liked to have fleshed him out a little bit more. But that's fine. It was in the book, so they didn't do any problems by making that. But otherwise, I just think that it's very repetitive and way too long. Coming in at number 8, I have Misery. What can I say that hasn't already been said about this movie? It's very underrated, I think, but I know a lot of people actually really love this movie, and I see why. It's a great thriller horror, about this guy who's an author. King said he based a lot of it on, like, experiences that he's had and, like, his fears of being a writer, that, like, of people being obsessed with him. So, there's all of that, and otherwise, Kathy Bates puts in a great performance, James Caan puts in a great performance. I think both of them are great actors, and I'm glad that they were picked to play this movie because it's based so much on these 2 characters, and if they didn't get good actors to play them and they were acted poorly, I don't think the movie would work nearly as well. Coming in at number 7, I have The Mist. It's a good movie. It's got some great emotion, one of the saddest endings of all time. I'll stick by that. It was one of the saddest endings of all time. It's a great creature feature. I love seeing all the different creatures in the mist. It's a terrifying concept, and I like everything that goes down at the supermarket. And you gotta watch the black and white version, because it's a lot better. I don't know why, it just is. And at number 6, it's probably a lot lower than a lot of people would have it, but it's my list, so I don't care. Number 6 is Dr. Sleep. Now, I love this movie, so I'm not taking anything away from it by putting it at number 6. I'm not saying it's not as good. I'm just saying I like the other 5 films above it a little bit more. Dr. Sleep, it's a good movie. When I saw that it was coming out, I didn't think it really needed to exist, because The Shining is a proven classic. I don't think they need a sequel to that. But there was a sequel book, so, I mean, they can just make a movie based on that, and they nailed it. I think they did the original justice. I think they did enough where it wasn't like, oh, see how good this movie was, we're going to do a sequel to it. It's more like a new story that happens to have the same characters, and by the time they get to the Stanley Hotel at the end, I felt like, you know what, they've earned it. They're allowed to do that. And I think all of the characters are acted perfectly. Rose the Hat is a great villain, and I would have never thought Ewan McGregor would be the person to play an adult Danny Torrance, but he does it perfectly, and I think it's scary at some points, so I think this is a genuinely good follow-up to the original Shining. Number 5, I have Carrie 2002. I think this is a great remake. Obviously not as good as the original, but I think it's a great remake. I'm blanking on her name. I'll put it on screen right now. The actress who plays Carrie in this, she does a perfect job. Not as good as Sissy Spacek in the original, but still a great pick to play Carrie. She gives a perfectly unnerving performance as Carrie. But she's more aware on her social standing that, like, no, she's aware that people bully her and that no one likes her. So, and I like that new aspect to it, and this was supposed to be the lead up to a Carrie TV series. That's why Carrie survives and why the gym teacher survives. And I like that new kind of aspect because, like, I always thought the gym teacher didn't deserve to die because she was nice to Carrie throughout the book. But due to her hysteria in the original, she imagines that the gym teacher is also laughing at her. But I do appreciate that she did survive, even though it was only supposed to be because there was a TV series. Coming in at number 4, most people's number 1, The Shining. Again, this is my list, so this is just my personal enjoyment of these movies. And number 4 is The Shining. If we were just going based off of, like, the most well-made movie on this list, yeah, it would be number 1. But we're going off of based on how much I enjoy them, and I think The Shining is great. Obviously, it's number 4. It'd probably be top 20 horror movie for me. Jack Nicholson does a great performance. Shelley Duvall does a great performance. I like everything that goes down at the Stanley Hotel. I think there are some genuinely scary moments in it, like the typewriter and the twins and the blood elevator. There's just so many good, terrifying things that happen as Jack is slowly losing his mind, all the way up to the iconic scene that's in my intro, the Here's Johnny scene. That's iconic. I don't know if there will ever be a more iconic line in horror movies, in horror movie history. For 3, I have the second Carrie remake, Carrie 2013, the one with Chloe Grace Moretz. Now I have this one higher than the other Carrie remake because I like that it adds a little bit more to the bullying, because in the original Carrie, she's bullied by her class, and that's pretty much it. But, like, yeah, that sucks, but in this new version, they have cell phones, so they record her and they post it to social media, so it's, like, a little bit worse, because they not only just embarrassed her in front of the school, they embarrassed her in front of anyone who views that video. So she can, like, look at the comments on the video and see all these hateful things that people are saying. That's really the only reason I have it higher, because, I mean, it does pretty much everything the original does again, but I don't mind that because I love the story of Carrie so much that it's fine to just see it done over again, but in a different era. And number 2, I have the original Carrie. Now, all 3 Carrie remakes are on this list. I haven't seen The Rage Carrie 2, so I don't know if that would make the list or not. But, yes, Carrie is number 2, the original. I just told you how much I love it by talking about the other 2 remakes. I love the story of Carrie. It's one of my favorite horror stories of all time. Stephen King's novel is great, one of my favorites. I'm almost done with it, so I can say it's one of my favorites. But otherwise, I think the book follows it perfectly. But otherwise, I think the movie follows the book perfectly. I think they do everything that you need to do in order for it to make sense. Everything that was great about the book, they do in the movie. And then the stuff that they don't really need, they cut out, and then some of the other remakes put that stuff in. So I think that's pretty good. Coming in at number 1, my number 1 horror movie of all time, it's a 2017. You can go look at my top 10 movies video. I talk about it in there. It is my favorite horror movie, probably always will be. I think Pennywise is a great villain, but you know it's a good thing when he's like the third most memorable part of the movie. Now, he's terrifying, he has some great scenes, but my favorite part of the movie has always been the characters. The Losers Club are some of my favorite characters in all movies, period, not just horror movies, but horror movies specifically, because they tend to not have great characters, specifically slashers, but these group of characters you feel for. You just want to see them succeed and take down Pennywise. They all have their own unique backstories that kind of intertwine, and you get to see them grow up, which It Chapter 2, as I said, isn't as good, but still good. Everybody's terrified of this clown. People will see him and be terrified. I'm not that scared of him, but there are some scary moments where he literally turns into your worst fear. So It 2017 is my number one Stephen King movie, and my number one horror movie of all time. That's gonna be it for today, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit like, so I know you want to see more videos like it. If you want to be notified when I post a brand new video, go down and hit subscribe and hit the bell notification. But otherwise, if you just want to see more videos now, you can go down to my channel, find another video in there that you'll enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.